Hello and welcome to the show. I am here today on automation, going to be trying to complete a challenge that you guys set me. I'm going to be building a rival to the original Golf GTI. Not quite the first hot hatch, that goes to a bath, but certainly the GTI was the car that popularised the idea of these hot hatches. So the year 1975, that was when the GTI Golf came out. We are going to be using a mod vehicle. You see, none of the game's standard cars really quite work as a 70s hatchback. None of them quite... But the closest we have is the bloody Mini. Yeah. Thankfully, there is a 70s model, and while the picture shows a van, there are various different versions of body styles of the car, if you like, and one of them being the hatchback, the sort of car that we are going to be wanting. So, the idea, we're going to try and get 110 miles an hour, about 110 horsepower as well. If we get out towards 120, I'd be quite happy with that. Relatively cheap, relatively easy to drive, and hopefully relatively economical. Unlikely though, because I can't seem to build cars any sort of economy to save my life on this game, so I might ignore that requirement a little bit. Anyway, panel material is going to be steel, because this is going to be a mass-produced car. You know, yeah, we're not going to be having any of those. It's mass-produced, and we want it to be relatively affordable as well. I'm hoping we can still make it light enough, but we will have to see on that. It's going to be a ladder chassis again. Like the engineering time, some of these other cars, these other sort of style stuff, yeah, it's not happening. And again, chassis material, we might go for galvanized steel, sure. Engine, it is going to be, naturally, front-wheel drive, so it'll be a front transverse engine on here. Now, we want the car to be sporty, so I'm thinking we go double wishbones at the front, and then we will go... Do we go double wishbones at the rear? Or we could... I mean, double wishbone is good for sportiness, save a little bit of money and whatnot. We could go for torsion beam at the rear, or make it easier to produce. Comfort's a little bit down, though. A little bit less comfortable. Quite nice and compact. Oh, yeah, sure. We'll try and save... We'll save a little bit of money. We might change it. We can come back and we can change this sort of stuff. Right, the engine... It's going to be an inline 4. I don't even think a V6 or anything would fit in the car. And again, it's got to be cheap. That's the whole point. So we've got to try and, make it vaguely affordable, while still being able to get some power. I'm thinking inline 4. Maybe if we go overhead cam, perhaps we go overhead cam and we go 3 valves. Might come back and change it if we need to get out a little bit more power from the car. That seems like a sensible idea to me. Now, we're not going to be needing forged stuff in this engine. It's not going to be powerful enough to, you know, cause the crank and the conrods issues as such. Now, we will come back to the engine size. I've left it as default. The reason being is I've got to try and figure out what can and can't fit in the car. Basically, we'll sort out this stuff later on. Not going to be turbocharged. Now, here's an interesting part. You see, the Golf was one of the first small cars to be fitted with fuel injection. Now, the game doesn't reckon in 75 that we had fuel injection. It's actually... When does it appear? 78, apparently, is when it appears. Basically, FailRace Industries is a little bit behind Volkswagen. We don't quite have the same technological might that, that Volkswagen had, so we are stuck running with a carburetor in our car. Now, power-wise, we are wanting... Okay, so a single barrel twin carburetor would give us enough potential for power, whereas a standard one wouldn't be enough. We're definitely not having the Eco one. That's only 90 horsepower. The two barrel will only get 98. The DCOE will get us up to 240. That's not bad. And that is material costs at 204. The 4-barrel single carburetor is more expensive and not as much power. So that's okay. So the single would have to have twin. Yeah, I think the DCOE. I'm not quite sure what that stands for. I apologise on that one. But we don't really quite need to go for twin carburetors. We're not going to be getting 500 horsepower out of the car. So the DCOE single carburetor seems like a good idea to me. Do we go performance or do we go... I don't think we go race quite. It's not a race car. It's still got to be road. Used on the road. It's supposed to be like an everyday kind of car. Just a bit sporty in places, so performance works for me. Fuel type... I'm I'm leaning towards running it on regular fuel. While of course the super leaded you can get more compression out of it. I don't know if 75 they would have started going over to unleaded fuel. I feel like they might have been by then. So we're going to go regular unleaded on this. We'll come back and faff around with that later. Exhaust, we're not going to need more than the short cast ones. 176 horsepower, again, we're unlikely to be getting near. Won't be having a catalytic converter. Maybe we'll go with one silencer on the exhaust, and there we go. Right, the engine failed due to knocking. Let's go and just reduce that back. So once we've got the engine stopping failing, 104 horsepower is actually quite close to the sort of target area we're looking for. 104 horsepower, 112 torque as well. But the important thing is, okay, that's all done. Now, I have figured out something a little bit bizarre going on with this mod. Well, first of all, the engine floats above the car. Don't worry about that. That will be fixed when we select the engine position. However, there are two styles of hatchback. You can have the 3-door or you can have the 5-door. Don't select the 3-door. The 3-door, for whatever reason, the engine like fitment in the engine bay is a little bit balked on that at the moment. Now I'm sure these mods, being worked on and so on, but yeah, don't go for that. So we are going to have the 5-door version of the car, and now the engine won't fit, which is kind of what I expected. If we just make it FailRace Industries orange, we'll do okay, we'll come back and sort that out later. Right, so now we need to go and actually make the engine fit into my car. What are we going to... Ooh, we're going to be limited. Ooh, okay, so it's basically going to be a 1.7 litre... Can we get it to a 1.8 litre? Now, this is going to... it's going to be a relatively... I might change that, because we might not be able to get very many RPMs out of it. We will see. We will see. Now, what is our current... RPM. Oh, okay, we can't really go much above. Okay, let's try. Maybe we cancel the idea of going for. Who we go for a 1.6. We'll go for a 1.6, so we'll get a little bit of a revvy 1.6 on the go. It seems like a fun enough idea to me. Now, how far can I push you before you explode? Okay, about 6,600 RPM. That sounds good to me. Right, let's go and whack up some bits and pieces. Okay, that's more like it. Whack up towards the 100 horsepower mark. Now, we have lost a little bit in the way of torque doing all of this, down to 98. Fuel efficiency is shocking. It's going to be, I'm afraid. The fuel efficiency is going to be pretty garbage on this car, because if we're going to try and compete with the... if we give it a bit richer fuel mixture, we can then... No, God, we can then go a little bit more aggressive with the compression. Okay, that's not quite worked how I had hoped it would. Okay, maybe we just bring that back down again, I think. Bring it back down, and then we'll put the compression back again. So 112 horsepower with 100 torque is not too bad. I can't really do much with ignition timing and all of that. I'd like a little bit more power. Now, of course, we could go for, just ramp up the quality sliders. 121 horsepower. But when you do that, it makes things expensive. And... I'd rather not make it too expensive. I mean, it's kind of like 1 horsepower per bit. Can we get, for 2 horsepower, I'm not sure that expense is worth it. So it's slightly more powerful than we saw. Oh, okay, there's another horsepower in that. Another horsepower in that. We'll put it back down to there. It's a little bit more powerful than the Golf. Oh, got 115 horsepower, still at 8.5% efficiency. I mean, yeah, we can ramp it up there towards 118 horsepower, but we start kind of running out of RPM. Yeah, we'll leave it around about there. That seems good enough to me. Actually, that's made it a little bit more efficient. You know what? Let's just keep chucking... Oh, no, wait, there was a perfect... There, 118 horsepower. Perfect. That's what we like to see. 8.7% efficiency, 118 horsepower, 101 torque. So engine-wise, I mean, we're kind of around about there. We're kind of around about at the area that the GTI Golf was. Now, some sound time, I think. Yeah, it's not a terrible sounding engine. Not a terrible sounding engine. Relatively cheap, $516. Relatively light, 127 kilos. I'm happy enough with that as an engine. It kind of hits the targets that we want it to. Now, that idea might change should we now not go and hit the sort of speed targets that we want. Should we not go and hit the various other targets? Right, let's get this. There we go. Engine is put away. We'll go for a 5-speed gearbox. It reckons it'll top out at 118 miles an hour. If we could do 118, I'd actually be very, very happy. We could do 118 with that car. Right, fixtures. Now, being a, well, 75 car, everything was boxy. Everything was boxy. So shall we go for some square lights at the front? That seems like the way to be. Do we want that style? What do these look like on the car? Oh, they're massive. Okay, maybe not. Nope. Nope. Oh, those were kind of, I think these are almost more supposed to be like lights. I don't know. Like the indicator confuses me slightly on these. I feel like these were more like bloody daylight running lights on a modern car. Doesn't work on this. We could have... Oh, God, they're massive. Nope. I can make them smaller. I'm not sure I like those ones particularly. I guess... Nah. We could have this sort of style lights on the front of our car. Could go for this kind of style on the front of our little hatchback. Where would we have them sat? Yeah, we could have those, or we could. I'll go back to where we were. Just go for just straightforward rectangular headlights. I mean, that works. That does work. What we could also then go and do, yeah. So if I like those, if we were to then go and grab this and then go for like a, oh, there we go, and then have like a little indicator, perhaps. I don't know whether we want it all the. Yeah, so I'll go for that sort of style. It works. Might make these a little tiny bit wider. Trying to neaten it up with the top part. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that, actually. I'm happy with that. Like I guess I could have turned that into, you know, have the bottom one orange, but I prefer having the sort of thinner indicator. Okay, grill time. Now I kind of quite like this. Oh, do we go for chrome? Do we chrome up the front of our? Actually, I kind of want it the other way around. Oh, not that way. Not quite that way around, game. Do we chrome up the front? Actually, I prefer it that sort of style. That shape. Yeah, sort of getting larger as it goes higher up, I think, is my preferred style on that. Do I like that grille, though? That's the question. What do we reckon? Yeah, actually, I don't mind that. I don't mind that on the front of the car. Not going to bother with anything lower down on this one. Again, it's supposed to be a fairly straightforward, fairly simple car. It's nothing extreme, this. It's a cheap, fun bit of entertainment, basically. The back of the car, shall we go for a fairly similar... Oh, God, they're massive brake lights. Shall we go for a fairly similar... I mean, actually, we go for pretty much the same sort of style. So if we were to have those, and then is it shift? I believe shift drag will make it... There we go. Shift drag will make it the same, and then I guess that probably would have been the sensible way around to do things earlier. I apologise. And then we can have kind of like indicators at the back. Yeah, I mean, it works. It works. The back of that. It's not massively exciting, but then I'm not building a supercar here. Do we go for some indicators on the side of the car? No, not those. Maybe the in keeping with the rectangular theme of the car might be the way to go. See, I don't like having them so far down, and then up there I don't like having them... no, I'm not sure of that. I don't like having them at that angle, but it is what it is. Right. Don't need to worry about any crazy vents, crazy ducting around on this vehicle. Again, it's just not the sort of car. We could go for an mighty wing on the back of this. Naturally, it is tempting to go for a mighty wing on this. Have like the group whatever it was car that we built last time. Oh, look at that! That's not a wing well, I mean, it is a wing. It's literally an aeroplane. That is literally an aeroplane wing on the back of my car. We're not having... As entertaining as that is, it's not going on the car. We are trying to build... God damn it, we are trying to build something that vaguely looks the part here. I guess we'll just have normal little wing mirrors on the side. I'm not sure if it came with... Like, that wing would probably cost more than the rest of the car, let's face it. And the weight that the wing would add would be ludicrous. For a car that's going to do maybe 100 and a bit miles an hour, not sure quite that massive wing is very necessary. It's cool at everything, don't get me wrong. It's cool at everything, but I'm not sure it's quite so... What's the difference between those two? Oh, it's like a button or like a... Yeah, so that's like your lock for the for the front of the car. Do I like this? I mean, they're just simple handles, really. At the end of the day, isn't it? That might be a little bit high, but never mind. Oh God, trying to line this up. I could do like a grid to work too. Just try to judge it by eye. I think that's better anyway. Right. Okay. Little FailRace Industries hatchback is a go. We will then have a fuel fillet cap because naturally we need those. Perfect. I never tend to bother with a thing for the boot because there's not really anything that kind of works as a button for the boot. So I have seen a few people mention that in previous builds. There's nothing anywhere that really works for that stuff. Right. Numplate wise, well I guess it is. I mean, this is technically a sports car. Technically, well, I say sports car. It's a sporty version of a normal car. So we'll go for the sport plate. It's certainly not an eco car. I'll tell you that much right now. It is certainly not an eco car. I actually quite like the front. The chrome. I mean, I could carry the chrome around because we can actually go into bumper bars. There we go. You can actually go and build up like full on. Like if you're building your classic American boat or whatever, and you want to put a lot of chrome on it, you can. You can go mad with chrome, and you can have all of your like little chrome trim bits. And oh God, there's actually a lot more chrome trim bits than I realised. So you can build your giant bits of chrome along the car. I don't know if you can you turn it? No, there might be a way, I might not know it, like to turn stuff into like wood effect, if you want to go have like big wood effects along your SUVs, so on and so forth. But yeah, there's a lot of faffing around that you can do, and I'm kind of putting this together. Oh, do we make it into a giant remote control car? Yes, I think we do. Giant remote control car time. I mean, I faff a little bit with the exterior look of the car. I don't faff as much as you could. I don't faff anywhere near as much as you could with the whole visual side of things. Okay, I'm fairly happy with that. Of course, got to get the FailRace Industries badge of approval on here. It is that one. There we go. Perfect. And there we go. FailRace Industries hatchback ready to go and compete, I think, just about with the... I say just about with the Golf. We got some suspension and stuff to concern ourselves with first, but then it will be ready to go and compete with the Golf. Oh, and wheels. Do we be adventurous with the wheels? Do we go for something different, or do we go for the two that I like? Maybe we'll go with these, actually. You know what? Let's go for something different. I don't horrendously dislike those on our hatchback, so that'll work. Right. Anyway, car. Yes. Manual gearbox, of course, 5-speed. See if we can get 118. I'd be happy if we could in all of that. We will have an open diff in the car. Not very much. It's not going to be a manual locker. It's not going to be off-road stuff. So, yeah, that's just what it is. We'll go for radial tyres. Now, we want it to be, you know, drivability-wise. We want it also to be cheap. So, I think perhaps the long life road tyres are the way to go. We'll give it 195s all around. Do we want... I mean, to be fair, actually, 15-inch are probably fairly decent size wheels on these cars, so there we go. We'll go for some alloy wheels, save a little bit of weight. It's a little bit more expensive, but then you also got to bear in mind, while I'm trying to make this vaguely affordable, this is still going to be like the top-of-the-line model. Still going to be the top-of-the-line model. We'll get some discs at the front, I think, and we will have... we should be good. Again, it's not going to be going quite so fast to require crazy braking performance. It's nippy, but it's not ludicrous braking performance. So yeah, discs at the front, drums at the rear. I mean, hell, a lot of modern cars, or up until, yeah, I think there probably are still basic entry-level hatchbacks these days that are going to be running this configuration, discs and drums. So that should be fine. No under tray. Cooling, airflow. We'll try and minimise. We'll try and minimise drag. It's got enough airflow for the engine not to overheat, so that'll be fine. Of course, got to be a 5-seater. Still got to be quite practical. Interior. Do we go? Do we go premium? It's not going to have basic. Okay. Do we go premium for a little bit more comfort, but quite a bit more expense over standard? Okay, we'll keep standard. At the end of the day, the 8-tracks, they're so expensive, so we're keeping it with the standard stuff in there. No power steering, no traction aids. Not going to need them, is it? Standard 70s safety on this. Now, springs, we want sportiness. So standard gas monotubes for that. And there we have it. Fun 93. A small everyday car, everyday use car that is practical yet still agile and fun to drive. Ideally what we're building here. Apparently it's a pony car. The muscle car's little brother, a big engine rear-wheel drive. I mean, it's family sport and fun, absolutely. Pony car, no, not quite. There's 14 miles to the gallon. Shush. It's got the fuel economy of a pony car. That's probably true. Now, if we go set it up for sport... Ooh, that ruined everything. Okay, wow. So suspension settings are making a big... Okay, can we... I want to go back. I want to go back. Hold on. I've ballsed it up somewhere. How have I ballsed that one up? Oh, crap. Maybe if we just go take the suspension off the car. Nobody needs to know. Bear with me. Hold on. Things have gone wrong slightly. I've screwed up the suspension. Right. Can we put you back? Can we put you back? No, because now I've screwed it all up. Right. How did I have that at like 90-something, and now it's all gone to pots? So apparently higher ride height is good for fun. I mean, it's good for falling over, and which is quite fun in FailRace terms, but I'm not sure someone buying the car would agree with that. I feel like lower would be good. It wants us to have stiffer sway bars. I think the car's probably failing like circle tests or something. So that might not be a bad idea if we stiffen up these. We've got to stiffen it up to the point until the game starts saying it's now worse, which was there. Just gone past it. Drivability is pretty high. I mean, I'd hope it would be. There we go. Oh, no, cock that one up. We got there and then we didn't get there. There we go. Back into the 90s. Back into the 90s for fun. 90.5 is about as good as it's going to get, I think. What if we go for some spring? Aha! There we go. Many funs were had with stiffer springs. Sure. Basically, we're trying to stop it from wobbling over, I think, is what we're doing here. That's the aim of the game. Stop our hatchback from falling over. Oh, of course, as ever. No, okay, that's... Right, there's a perfect amount of camber. Oh, no, okay, so we got minus there. Oh, God. Okay, this is changing everything very dramatically with the setup, which is odd, but apparently the way of the game. Apparently the way of the game anyway, who knows. What have we got issue-wise? The front brake force is low, both the front and back brake force is low. The dampers are too hard, but we just changed that. That was fine. Don't care. The rear tyres is wide for the chosen tyre compound. Right, so the brakes could do with upping a little bit. I thought it'd be okay, but we can go for some bigger brakes. We can go for some bigger brakes all around. Let's keep getting that fun up. Hey, up to 101. 101.8 is about where we hit the limit of fun, apparently, with this. For some reason, it goes up and then down. We're up to 102.8 for fun. Many funs are had with this. Front brake force is still low, apparently. I don't quite know why. The game's happy if we have 100. If we have that brake force. So apparently that's that. Right. We should probably go and... Oh, where's this 0 to 60 time? Ooh, okay. 0 to 60, 9.1, which is pretty much the same as the Golf GTI. The Golf GTI's was 9. Top speed, 114 miles an hour. Fractionally quicker, I can't quite get 120 out of it, but it's not too bad. Weight-wise, 902 kilos. I think fraction heavier than the Golf. But again, bear in mind here that in terms of that power and that acceleration and whatnot, we are still using a carburetor. The Golf had fuel injection, which is pretty helpful for all of that. Let's go and give it a run around the track. Don't know what sort of time we would be wanting to try and beat for. I don't know what will be a good time for this sort of car to be getting around the Top Gear track. I mean, it's hardly going to be setting any sort of lap records around here, that much is for sure, but it is going to be a lap time, a 1:37.4. That doesn't seem too terrible. Okay, it's not up there with modern cars, as you would expect. It's a little tiny hatchback, but yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I can never get the circle test working. Steering is probably because I've got no power steering on the car, but we want sportiness, god damn it. Oh, that's actually, is that drivability? Yeah, the game likes you to have bloody automatic gearboxes for drivability, because apparently no one can deal with a manual. Sportiness, yeah, I mean, look, in terms of, comparison with a supercar, in terms of comparison with a muscle car, sure, it's not going to have big top speed, it's not going to have big power and so on, but that's not the point of this car. So, yeah, the minuses on that, fair enough. Fair enough. The sportiness is good for what it is. It's just not good compared to high-end cars. So, markets. Let's go have a look here. So, yeah, it's pretty much perfect in the fun budget. It might be, I guess, maybe a little bit expensive. What does it come overall at? Price, 8,800. It's not terrible. Fruinia is very much loving it as a fun car. It's very much loving it, or a sport budget car even. I don't quite know why it's sitting in the pony category. That's not quite there. And in Arcana, it is a fun premium, I guess, sort of vehicle. Actually, utility sport as well for throwing, I guess you can fit stuff in the boot, so there's some sort of utility. Basically, every single continent in this game wants our little hot hatch. Wants the little hot hatch. I mean, it's not great on fuel economy, let's be honest. It's not great on the fuel economy, 14.4, but I've given up caring about that particular stat on most of the cars that I build. I'm pretty happy with this. As a rival to the Golf GTI, as a rival, to the Golf, we've got, I can't get a bigger engine than a 1.6 litre in this. The Golf had a 1.8 litre, and we're still stuck with a carburetor compared to the Golf's fuel injection. We match the Golf in terms of acceleration. We beat the Golf in terms of top speed. It is all very, very close, but we do go slightly quicker than the Volkswagen. It doesn't look completely and utterly hideous. I would say a success. I would say our attempt at the first hot hatch, or an arrival certainly to the first mainstream hot hatch, has been pretty successful. Thank you very much to those that the guy that suggested this challenge, those that liked the comment and so on. Yeah, interesting build, something a little bit different. As ever, if you do have more challenge suggestions for me, more sort of cars you'd like to see me try and build on this game, then please do let me know in the comment section. And the most interesting ones I shall have a go with. That, though, is going to be it for today. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.